Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Just across the borders of Sylvania, the undead march in the lands of Eschen, and they face off against the forces of Sigmar in this Warhammer World Championship matchup between Willow on the Vampire Counts and Pesce on the Empire. So for the Vampire Counts army, it is going to be a rather small infantry department. So we have a front line of 3 zombies backed up by a trio of Graveguard. Graveguard will do well against pretty much anything that isn't greatswords in terms of the infantry, and unfortunately there are some greatswords on the Empire side, but it is going to be a heavy mobility force for the Vampire Counts, as we do have on one flank we have some Blood Knights, Chill Guys, and some Black Knights, going to be followed up by some more Blood Knights on one side, and we do have some more Black Knights and the Dire Pack going to be kind of rolling on in on this far right flank. They do have a nice little bonus versus large, and of course they do have a very nice high speed of 95 to help chase things down, really kind of just provide any assistance in that cav engagements. We do have Manfred von Karstein going to be up in the sky. He's going to be on his Hellsteed, foregoing the dragon, going to be a little bit cheaper here, but he is going to be bringing the Master of the Black Arts, the Arcane Conduit equivalent, and he does also have Raised Dead. We have Invocation of the Heck, Spirit Leech, as well as the Sword of Unholy Power, which is only being able to be used when he is engaged in melee. He does have the Hunger and both lore passives, and the Chill Guys themselves, kind of just go over what they have. They do have the Chilling Aura, which does reduce the speed of units around it by 36%, which can help the Blood Knights with their engagements themselves, getting able to pull out and maybe get the proper engagement against the Demis, considering that the Blood Knights do have a very nice 78 charge versus the charge of only 50 on the Demigryph Knights, 48 actually on the Demis, and they do have magic damage and armor piercing, which is quite nice, as well as fear and terror. And as long as Volkmar stays away from them with their 75% missile or physical resist, it will do quite well on top of that. But for the Empire, we actually have some war wagons going to be thrown into the mix, and it is going to be Volkmar the Grim, pretty much the most common lord for the Empire in this matchup, and we are going to be seeing him with the Jade Griffin, giving himself that nice little bit of regen. Banishment, we have Grand Hammer of Sigmar, the Grand Shield of Faith, and the Grand Soulfire Bombardment. He is quite the devastating force when he comes to the Vampire Counts. With all of his AoEs stuff against infantry, he will be able to wreck anything and everything when it comes in that department. We also do have a trio of great swords as well, which will trade exceptionally well into the Graveguard. One of the few matchups where they do excel in, and they will be able to help chew through the Vampire Counts infantry. So the Vampire Counts will have to do quite a bit of good work on the mobility side with their cav. And then for the rest of the forces, though, it is a couple of Demigryph Knights going to be rolling on with both bonus versus large and their armor piercing. It is going to be the Halberd variant. We do also have Felix, a rather interesting pick, not one you will often be seeing pretty much at all for the most part, though he does have his uses. He is going to be bringing Blood Oath, giving an extra 8 hit points per second to any lords and heroes, which does include himself. Now, again, with Volkmar, not necessarily so equivalent, but that will give him 16 regen. That does stack on top of that, and of course it does give himself some passive healing to boot. And he is a decent answer to some like White Kings, for example, who are a fairly common pick with their Scabscrath. And we do have the Sigmar Sons, who are one of those nice little targets for those abilities. They are unbreakable, so that will help hold that line. And then there's going to be some Spearmen in the rear to kind of just help keep the front line free and clear of any of those rear charges from the Empire or the Vampire mobility. So that is going to be the armies, and let's get things rolling, as both armies are just about to engage in their front line, as the Sigmar Sons do hold the line against the undead. And we do have Manfred cackling overhead. Not any answers to him up in the sky. No range units, no silver bullets here. We do get a charge of Blood Knights into the Demigryph Knights, and they do get a Spirit Leech as well, but both of the Demis are going to be focusing their attention on the single unit of Blood Knights. And while the initial charge does go in the favor of the Blood Knights, we are going to be seeing the Blood Knights start to take more and more damage, and they definitely need to take advantage of that charge bonus, because they definitely did well on that initial charge, but now that they're stuck in melee, they need to continually cycle in and out of these engagements to recycle that charge bonus, and that is how they're going to be able to pull through. Otherwise, we do have Manfred is going to be cackling and hunting for that Jade Wizard. He does have quite a bit of extra speed to be able to do so, but he will be taken off, seeing as these Demis are going to be focusing their attention on him. And Volkmar the Grim going to be dealing with the Blood Knights on this far flank. Now, the Blood Knights will do quite well against Volkmar. They are one of the good tools to deal with him, them and the White Kings. And Manfred himself on his Hellsteed will actually be able to kind of pluck away at Volkmar as well. But these Chill Guys definitely need to stay away from Volkmar, as they are going to be pulling out and returning to getting a nice little rear charge, though, off into all of these Demis. This unit of Demis is going to be terrified from the addition of those Chill Guys, but these Blood Knights have taken so much damage. We do get an Invocation of a Heck overcasted onto this blob, which is going to be healing up those Blood Knights. And now that Volkmar the Grim, though, has entered the fray, the Chill Guy's going to be running for the hills. They do not want to be anywhere near that monster of a man, as he is going to be doing a ton of damage to them with those Soul Fires and those Bound Banishments, while the rest of the mobility completely collapsing upon this flank of the Great Swords, really kind of breaking everything down bit by bit. And these Dire Pack just kind of waiting in the fringes here, looking to chase down anything that ends up routing, and they are going to have some early prey as the Spearmen are going to be routing, but they are going to be hunting for the War Wagons here, trying to shut them down as best they can. And Volkmar just rolling in the deep, though, as the Blood Knights do get a nice little surround off on him, but there is still plenty of Demis into the field. The Chill Guys are going to getting a charge in, and we are going to be seeing the first banishment down onto the field, and the Chill Guys very quickly abandon ship, and they are going to be running, as they do avoid the cast there very, very well. And the War Wagons starting to take quite a bit of damage, as the Dire Pack, though they themselves are starting to get broken down, but it might just be enough to break the backs of these War Wagon, and there are plenty of Black Knights in the fringes to kind of help chase things off. And it looks like a lot of the infantry department for the Empire, though, is starting to get broken down. We do see one of the Great Swords wavering, and Manfred is in hot pursuit of the Jade Wizard, looking to bring down the spellcasting for the Empire. Getting a nice little charge and hit in, is going to be wavering, and a second quick follow-up, going to be routing off that Jade Wizard, and is very low on health. May be able to come back, but if Manfred does continue his pursuit, well, it does look like we have some of these Black Knights going to be turning their attention to that Jade Wizard itself, and going to be looking to hunt it down, as Manfred turns his attention instead to Felix, as he's going to be trying to get some nice charges in, but he's going to be trapped a bit by these War Wagons, getting a little blocked in, but he is going to be able to find some space to move on out. But Graveguard are in zombies with these Black Knights surrounding Volkmar, who is still sitting very nice in terms of HP, as the Chill Guys get a nice charge into these Demis, who were trying to get a surround off onto Manfred. But Volkmar, seeing his opportunity, is going to be charging in. Definitely a big deterrent to these Chill Guys, as they do kind of make a break for it once again, leaving Manfred to kind of be surrounded by all of these Demis. And we do have a little addition of Blood Knights coming on in, trying to save the Lord, but we do get a looks like a Soulfire bombardment, and once again Chill Guy's going to be dodging that little barrage, going to be pulling in, but a few models of them are going to be caught in, and they will slowly be getting peeled down bit by bit. But actually the infantry department looks to be won by the Vampire Counts. There is still a ton of Graveguard left, and there is very little in terms of infantry on the Empire side. We do have some spears in the coming back, but that Jade Wizard is going to be pushed off by those Black Knights, and that is going to be all for the spellcasting on the Empire side, though Volkmar pretty much is a spellcaster into himself without those Winds of Magic, with all of his Soul Fires, the Grand Shield of Faith, and the Hammer of Sigmar, all that stuff. But Felix is a little isolated at this time, and Manfred is going to be taking full advantage of that. Going to be charging on in, getting some nice hits off onto Felix, as the Demis just trying to clean things up. Black Knights getting very, very low, and even the Blood Knights on very slivers of HP. Only 3 models left. They might be able to rout off these Demigryphs with halberds, and honestly, these Chill Guys should be able to do just that. And they do end up routing those Demis just as they do disintegrate into the ground. And now Volkmar and Felix are going to be standing their ground. The Demis, though, there is still a formidable presence on the field. And another Bound Banishment. The second one of the match is going to be going down, and this time it is going to be able to catch more of those Chill Guys, as they weren't quite quick enough to be able to pull out, and they have had an invocation overcasted on them and their group, so they have been able to start healing up bit by bit, and they are almost at their healing cap right now. But still, Volkmar is still at full health, and he's going to be very hard to bring down, as Manfred is getting a little stuck in, as these War Wagons kind of hem him in, pinning him against Volkmar. But they do end up routing and actually lose one of their models, but they do leave behind a little bit of a roadblocker, as the downed War Wagon is going to be keeping Manfred from escaping in that specific direction. And at this point, though, we still have plenty of mobility on the Vampire Counts, the Black Knights, and the Chill Guys. The Chill Guys should be able to clear up anything else around the fringes, should be able to help chase down these Graveguard and these Zemis, considering they are now very far away from Volkmar, and be able to chase all of them down, are able to pretty much shatter those greatswords off the charge, and should be able to deal quick work with the remaining of the Demigryph Knights, and it's going to pretty much leave Felix and Volkmar alone amongst the fields of the dead. And they are still a very formidable foe, as they are both sitting very, very pretty in terms of HP. If we take a little look at just how much healing they have left. So Volkmar is able to heal up another 1,200, and with what the tools that the Vampire Counts have, they do have Black Knights, they have Manfred von Karstein, who can cycle in and out of this engagement and kind of get some nice poke damage into Volkmar, as Volkmar does cast his Soulfire Bombardment, and the Black Knights now are just pretty much going to be cleaning up the fringes of the fight, cleaning up these great swords, and then turning their attention to those war wagons, as the Chill Guys get a nice charge after that Soulfire Bombardment goes down, kind of knowing that they don't have a whole lot to fear other than Volkmar himself, who does do magic damage, so he will be able to bypass the physical resist of the Chill Guys. But still, their armor-piercing damage is going to be very, very valuable, though they don't want to be sticking around for too long, kind of charging in and out, just pretty much timing it around those Soulfire Bombardments, and then the rest of the forces, have been pretty much being cleaned up. Black Knight's going to be coming in to swoop in, keeping these spearmen from coming into the assistance of their lord and hero, and now you can see that Felix himself is getting very close to his healing cap, as he has been pretty much regenerating throughout the course of this fight, as has Volkmar, and they are slowly getting whittled down bit by bit, and honestly, Felix's leadership is what is going to be suffering at this point, but so is the healing cap on all of the Vampire Counts units as well is reaching their limit. And as Manfred is being able to continually heal or get more and more winds of magic as he is engaged in melee, and the Grand Hammer of Sigmar and the Grand Shield of Faith are both popped, giving a nice little bit of damage resistance, so they are able to tank this a bit better than usual, and actually staying close to this down war wagon is going to help them even a little bit more. And the Graveguard going to be kind of coming in, trying to whittle things down, but Manfred is going to be cycling once again back into the fray, recharging his charge bonus, getting a nice hit into Felix, able to get some damage in, as he has hit his healing cap and was almost about to be broken himself. He was actually is terrified, not immune to psychology, and that is going to separate himself ever so slightly from Volkmar the Grim, who himself has approached his healing cap, but still the balance of power dead even in this fight. Chill Guys are on their last fringes, only 9 models left and continuing to drop. But the separation between Volkmar and Felix is really going to be helpful for the Vampire Counts, and Volkmar going to be coming on in, trying to assist Felix, but he is slowly getting whittled down bit by the Chill Guys and the Black Knights, as Manfred is relentless in his pursuit of Volkmar, keeping his attention, and we get another Soulfire Bombardment. Might be enough to kind of clear out a lot of the Black Knights, though they do pull out just in the nick of time, and Manfred will be kind of once again hounding Felix, as he is just continually landing hit after hit, and is bringing down the man himself, and he is just on the very fringes of breaking here, as he does finally rout, and with the mobility that the Vampire Counts have, there is no way that he is going to be returning. And honestly, the Vampire Counts probably should think of dealing with this single war wagon that is left, who's just been kind of sitting in the fringes, firing in shots left and right, just kind of slowly plucking away at Manfred and the remaining Black Knights. And with Volkmar kind of stuck in melee, though, he can't really do a whole lot, but he is going to be able to pretty much finish off the Graveguard, but he is at his healing cap. As I kind of mentioned before, the balance power now is more and more in the Count's favor, as Manfred has done quite well at landing hits onto both Volkmar and to Felix throughout this fight. And now the War Wagon, I'm not really sure where he's going to be going, but he's going to continue getting some more shots in. I think Volkmar is on the last dregs of his life, and even the great man himself, no mustache, can withstand all of this hate, as the undead slowly clawing their way to victory and bringing down Volkmar the Grim, and the undead will once again rule these lands. Army losses do take in effect, and that will make the war wagons rout, and then Volkmar does fall to Manfred, and that will be all she wrote. So let's take a look at the after battle report here and see how the Empire fared in this fight. War wagons able to get 878. doing okay work. I mean, honestly, they're kind of more of a roadblock than anything else. The Demis, on the other hand, 1800 and 1600, able to trade very well into the Blood Knights. Unfortunately, they did lose their healing kind of early on, so they weren't able to really benefit as much from that, because that's definitely where all of that healing needed to be going to, considering Felix and Volkmar the Grim all had like a ton of regeneration throughout that fight. They both hit their healing caps without any additional healing, so losing that additional healing from the Jade Wizard really was a tad a bit unfortunate. The Great Swords able to do quite a good work, one getting 1100 in total value, really able to break down those Graveguard pretty effectively in single combat. And that is going to be pretty much the main story for the Empire there. Felix getting 1300 and Volkmar the Grim 4300, and that is why the Volkmar is pretty much the go-to pick against Vampire Counts. There is not a whole lot that the Counts can do against him, other than slowly whittle him down, because he's very difficult to snipe out early on. And he just wrecks the Count's infantry like none other. His Soulfires, his Banishments, everything, and all of his abilities as well. The Grand Shield of Faith and the Grand Hammer of Sigmar does insane amounts of buffs to his units, especially if he does stick close to the Demis in that cavalry engagement, which they did do. However, the Blood Knights on the Vampire Counts able to get 2k and 1500, so they were able to pay quite a bit for themselves, as well as the Chill Guys getting 1700. Even with Volkmar on the field, they were playing exceptionally cautious and staying clear of Volkmar's abilities, able to dodge his banishments and stay clear of those Soulfires very well. So it was well played on Willow's side in that regard. And then for the rest of the forces, even the Black Knights able to do quite a good work, getting 1100, really able to do good work at chasing things down, making sure once things did break, that they did stay broken. And even with the Blood Knights, in addition to those, they were able to finally defeat those Demigryph Knights as well. And even the Graveguard, surprisingly enough, were able to get like 1300, so a lot of value across the board on both sides, doing quite a big good work. And even, holy crap, Manfred von Karstein, man oh man, 47, almost 4800 total damage value dealt. That is insane for a Lord on his Hellsteed. I mean, he pretty much did kill both Felix and Volkmar 2 times over, considering they both hit their healing cap, but still, that is an insane value. I'm really surprised to see Manfred von Karstein exceed Volkmar's damage value in these fights. But yeah, Willow played exceptionally well with all of his characters, making sure that they were on the targets that they needed to and dodging those abilities as Volkmar was casting them. But a very well played battle on both sides, and fortunately the undead do rule Sylvania. And that is going to be all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the battle, and as always, have a good one.